All right, so let's start getting into how these traits are passed down from parents to offspring. We're going to start with a very simple form of genetics that goes by several names. It's called complete dominance, or Mendelian genetics, or simple genetics. All these terms refer to the same idea and the same way of completing a cross. Okay? So the father of genetics is Gregor Mendel. He was an Austrian monk. His job in the monastery where he lived was to tend to the garden. And he was a botanist and really enjoyed studying his pea plants, like sweet peas. And he kept very thorough notes of what he noticed between his crossing of peas and the outcomes of that. And thanks to him, we now understand genetics. But he started it all. So he was very lucky that he chose the pea plant, because the pea plant follows some very, very simple genetic rules. And that's how we're going to start by studying genetics. And in the next few days, we'll step it up and learn about some of the traits that are a little bit harder because they don't follow this simple step. It took a little while to figure that out. So the parts that he studied had only two distinct outcomes. For example, the height of the plant was either tall or short. There wasn't a lot of variation or medium-sized plants. The flowers of the plants were either white or purple. That's it. There was no other options. The seeds were green or yellow. No other options, etc., etc. Okay? And in simple genetics, or Mendelian genetics, or complete dominance, this is what you see. There's only two options in the outcome. There's only two phenotypes. Now, the sad thing was that during Mendel's time period, nobody took him seriously. Nobody thought his notes were important. They sort of brushed him off. It wasn't until his notes were rediscovered and that somebody looked at them and realized the importance that he earned the title Father of Genetics. Unfortunately, that was a long time after he was gone. A funny story about Mendel, though, is that he was a little bit of a liar, which is a surprise considering that he was a monk. See, his notes, his mathematics didn't come out perfect, and he didn't like that. So he actually fudged his data a little bit. He lied. He changed his data to make them perfect outcomes. But they still were really helpful in discovering how genetics work, even though he wasn't quite truthful. Just a fun little science secret. So let's remind ourselves of some of these vocabulary words. So remember, if I'm asking for a genotype, I'm asking what genes did the individual actually get. So I'm looking for two letters. One represented the gene from mom, one representing the gene from dad. Okay, and remember that we're going to use capital letters to represent the dominant and lowercase of the same letter to represent the recessive. Now, let me go ahead and warn you guys, you need to be very, very careful, especially those of you with sloppy handwriting. You need to be able to tell the difference between your big letters and your little letters, or you're going to screw up, okay? So be very, very careful in your handwriting. All right, so let's use the phenotype. So phenotype is a physical description of what the genes look like in the individual. So let's use tall versus short. In pea plants, tall is dominant to short. So since tall is dominant, we'll use the letter T. So a big T represents a tall gene, and a lowercase t or a little t represents a recessive gene or a short gene. Okay, so if you're big T, they are both big, they're both the same, you are homozygous dominant, or purebred dominant, or purebred tall, or homozygous tall. You can have a big T, little t, that's a tall gene and a short gene, which makes you heterozygous or hybrid. But your phenotype is still going to be tall. you have one tall gene, and tall is dominant. So it covers up and hides the recessive. So you're still tall. You can be little t, that means you have a short gene and a short gene. Your phenotype is going to be short. The only way to have a recessive phenotype is to have two recessive genes. Here, they're both the same, so you're homozygous, but now you're homozygous recessive, homozygous short, or purebred recessive or purebred short. Make sure you feel comfortable using all these words: genotype, phenotype, homozygous, heterozygous, dominant, recessive, purebred, hybrid. I know you're sick of me saying them over and over again, but it's really important that you know what they mean. Okay? So what genetics is going to do is it's going to use mathematical principles of probability to predict results. Okay? And we're going to do these mathematical probabilities using a Punnett square. Now, I know you guys have already done this in middle school, but let's do a reminder. We're going to start simple. We'll get more complicated soon. Okay, so remember, with a Punnett square, we're going to use the genotypes. So we're going to use two letters to represent the alleles. Dominant gets a capital letter. Recessive gets the same letter, but in lowercase. I like to call them bigs and littles. So let's use the pea plant. Let's use flower color. So in pea plants, the dominant flower color is purple. Since purple is dominant, we'll use the letter P. Okay, so if you get a purple allele, you get a big P. If you get a white allele, white is recessive, you get a little p. Okay, notice the difference between my big P's and little p's here. The little p has a little top hat here, and the big P doesn't. Okay, so if I tell you that I'm going to cross two parents are going to mate, and they are both purebred, then that means that the purple colored parent must be big P, because purebred means the same, and he's purple, so big P, two purple genes. And I tell you that the other parent is white, then it's going to be little p, because it's purebred, and the only way to be a white flower is to be little p. So let's do a sample Punnett square. Okay, most Punnett squares are going to have these 4 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Most will only have those 4. I personally like to draw in the 2 here and here to represent my parents. That is a personal choice of yours. Most of them you will get on worksheets will only have these 4 right here, which represent the babies. Okay, so what we're going to do a Punnett square to find out what the babies could possibly be. So we need to complete all the possible combinations from the parents. Okay, so we said that 1 is homozygous purple. So we're going to put 1 parent on the top. It doesn't matter which parent, but you keep the same parent's genes together. So big P on top. This is the purple parent's genes, big P. Notice they go into different boxes. Why? Well, remember they did meiosis, which makes egg and sperm that have only 1 gene. So we have to separate the genes because they're only going to pass 1 copy to the baby. Okay? All right, let's put in the other parent. It goes on the side. So here's the white parent, little p. Notice both white genes go together because you keep the parents' genes together. Okay? All right. And again, we separated them because egg and sperm only have 1 copy of the gene in it. Now we're going to do the Punnett square. The way that you do this is you go straight lines, straight down, straight across, straight down, straight across. Okay? That is very important. No crissy-crosses. Straight down, straight across. Okay? My letters are going to fly in on the screen, so watch which direction they come from. Okay? Big P, little p. Okay? So make sure you keep them in the right direction. Straight down, straight across. Straight down, straight across. Straight down, straight across. Straight down, straight across. Why did I just spend so much time repeating that? Because that's where everybody screws up. Okay? Straight down, straight across. Okay? So that means this parent can give a big P to their babies, so you bring those down. The other option is a big P to the babies. Bring it down. So this parent is going to give a purple gene to every single baby because that's all they've got. This parent, all they've got is white genes. So they're going to give all their babies white genes. So it's very important to keep it straight lines. Okay? All right, so think in your mind. This is big P, little p. They have a purple gene and they have a white gene. What color is this baby? Hopefully you said purple, because all those babies are purple. They're heterozygous, but they are purple because purple is dominant and it covers up the white gene. Okay? They have a white gene, you just can't see it. Okay? So this is a pattern you're going to see. Whenever you cross a purebred dominant with a purebred recessive, the babies will 100% always be heterozygous. Okay? All right. Well, what if we take two of these purple heterozygous babies and we cross them? Let's give that a try. Okay? So one parent on the top, heterozygous purple, so big P, little p. The other parent on the side, heterozygous, big P, little p. Okay? Keep the one parent here and the one parent here. Do not mix them up. And again, straight down, straight across. Let's see what we get. Watch the letters fly in. They're coming from the right direction. Okay, here's what I want you to do. Look at this baby, big P, big P. What color is that baby? Purple, two purple genes. Look at this one, big P, little p. What color is that baby? Purple, because they have a purple gene. Now look at this baby, little p, little p. What color is that baby? White, because they have two white genes. So what we get here is if we want to do a genotype ratio, we have one homozygous dominant, two heterozygous, and one homozygous recessive. If we do our phenotype ratio, we have 3 purple to 1 white. Whenever you do your ratios, you always want to do homozygous dominant, then hetero, then homozygous recessive, always. And when you do your phenotype ratio, you always want to do the dominant phenotype first and then the recessive phenotype. This is a pattern that you will always see. Whenever you cross two heterozygous parents, you always get these ratios. Okay? All right, I'm going to get you to watch an enhancement video now for a little more practice understanding this, and then you're going to have a worksheet to practice. If you don't understand, you need to ask for help. Good luck.